Chapter 4 Trouble in the Making. The next morning, the girls were up and about, getting themselves ready before they would meet up with Casey and April before heading back to the sewers to meet the turtles. As Twilight was straightening her hair out, she looked down at Spike.
Oh, Spike, I hope I'm doing the right thing by letting them know why I really came here.
Twilight, if you kept this to yourself, you'll only put Leo and the rest of the turtles in danger.
Spike explained.
I don't know when this vision of yours will happen, but as long as we're all together, we can face anything thrown at us, right?
Twilight smiled and scratched behind her assistant's ears.
You always know what to say, Spike.
That's what I'm here for.
Spike answered as he enjoyed the ear scratches. After the girls gathered together, they exited the hotel and saw April and Casey waiting for them.
Morning, girls.
April greeted them.
Morning, Casey. April?
Twilight greeted them.
You girls ready to go?
Casey asked.
You betcha.
Pinky nodded.
Then come on.
April said as the group hurried off. As they started walking, they were unaware that the Dazzlings were watching them and were determined to find out where they'd go. As the trio trailed the group, they made sure to keep their distance and not lose their trail. They peeked around a corner before watching the Rainbooms and their two new friends go down into the sewers before closing the lid.
Oh, right. Come on.
Adagio said as they went to the same sewer lid.
Let's go. You're seriously considering going down into the sewer?
Aria asked.
Adagio, this is disgusting.
Adagio growled at her fellow siren's attitude.
We don't have time for this, Aria. Now come on, or we'll lose them. Maybe we should have worn different clothes before going down into the sewers. Don't you think?
Sonata suggested. Adagio was at wit's end.
Will you hurry up?
She opened the lid and climbed down. When they reached the bottom, Aria plugged her nose.
It smells worse than Sonata's feet. Hey, my feet don't smell.
Sonata argued.
Besides, have you smelled yours lately?
The two started slapping each other's hands pitifully until Adagio growled.
Knock it off and follow me. Do you even know where to go?
Aria asked.
They can't have gone far.
Adagio said as she led her fellow sirens through the sewer system. Meanwhile, the Rainbooms and their new friends, who already arrived at the turtles' lair, saw that the turtles were nowhere to be seen.
Where are they?
Applejack asked.
Probably getting in their morning training.
Casey answered.
Come on, but try and keep quiet.
April whispered as they went into the training hall. They peeked in and saw the turtles were indeed in the middle of training, with Splinter watching. The girls and Spike watched, looking fascinated on how each turtle trained for combat, from Donnie's analyzing, to Mikey's improvisations, to Leo's quick thinking, to Raph's act before thinking strategy. After witnessing their fight against the Footbots last night, they knew the turtles were stronger than they looked. In the end, Leo was the last one standing, even if Raph was willing to go insane just to beat his brother. Splinter announced as the turtles' training was done. The sliding doors opened as the group stepped in.
That was a wonderful display.
Rarity said in awe.
You guys looked awesome.
Rainbow added.
You saw that?
Donnie asked.
Sure did.
Pinky nodded.
Well, sorry you had to see Raph blow his top.
Mikey joked, only to get smacked on the back of the head by Raph.
So, what's up?
Leo asked.
Actually, Leo, there's something I need to talk about with you and your brothers.
Twilight began.
What is it?
Leo wondered.
It's really kind of hard to say.
Twilight looked nervous.
Perhaps you should start at the beginning.
Splinter suggested.
Okay, the real reason Spike and I came back to this world is because I saw the turtles.
Twilight explained.
Because of us?
Donnie asked.
Well, what do you mean?
Mikey inquired.
You see, I sort of saw Leo in a dream I had.
Saw me in a dream?
Leo asked, feeling a bit flustered.
I was right.
Raph called.
Right about what?
Sunset asked in confusion.
Twilight has...
Raph was cut off by Leo, who shoved him aside.
It's nothing. So you saw me in a dream, Twilight?
Yes, but I think it was really a vision.
A vision?
Casey asked.
Yes, I was with Leo and he was defending me. Then this strange guy showed up.
Who?
Raph asked.
He was decked out in armor and he was covered in blades.
The turtles gasped.
Shredder!
Shredder?
The Rainbooms asked.
Couldn't be anybody else.
Leo replied.
Yeah. I mean, who else wears blade and armor?
Raph asked sarcastically, but Mikey was willing to answer only for Raph to stop him.
Sarcasm, Mikey.
Who is this Shredder?
Applejack asked.
And why was this robot ninjas attacking you guys last night?
Spike asked. The turtles and the two humans turned to Splinter, who sighed.
That is another part of my story I have not told you.
Well, we're listening now.
Sunset said. Splinter began.
The Shredder is in fact my old friend turned rival, Orokosaki.
What?
The girls gasped.
The same man who killed your wife and took your daughter.
Rarity asked.
Yes, but Orokosaki wasn't always like this. He really was once my friend.
Splinter explained.
So how did someone who was once your friend turn into a villain?
Pinky asked, while Sunset, being an expert on going bad, knew that it wasn't going to be pretty.
Was it merely all because of your wife?
Sunset wondered. Splinter shook his head.
This was due to more than just our rivalry over Tang Shen. The bitter feud between both Hamato and Foot clans lasted for centuries. Orokosaki was the son of the enemy, but he was just a child when the Foot clan failed. My father took him in and gave him shelter. The both of us were raised as brothers and rivals in all things as brothers are. Unfortunately, our rivalry turned bitter when we met Tang Shen. Jealousy turned to anger, and Saki learned of his true heritage. He swore vengeance and rebuilt the Foot clan, taking the name of Shredder. And you know what he did next.
Then Leo spoke.
When he discovered Splinter was alive and in New York, he came all the way to find him. Since then, we've had a lot of confrontations with him, more dangerous after the other.
What else did you see in this vision, Twilight?
Splinter wondered.
Yeah, what was Shredder doing?
Donnie asked.
He didn't do much, but he wasn't alone. He had two mutants of his own with him, but the real issue is that he had enemies of our own with him.
Twilight answered.
Your own enemies?
Leo asked.
Who were they?
April asked.
A trio of girls known as the Dazzlings.
Sunset answered.
Dazzlings?
Mikey asked.
Doesn't sound like an evil group to me.
You'd be surprised, Mikey.
Applejack replied.
The truth is, the Dazzlings aren't from this world at all.
Twilight explained.
More ponies?
Casey guessed.
No, they're sirens.
The princess answered.
Sirens?
The turtles asked.
You mean the creatures that use their melodious voices to lure sailors to their dooms?
April asked.
Sort of, but sirens in our world are different.
Twilight answered.
What do you mean?
Donnie asked. Twilight explained.
Over 1,000 years ago in Equestria, the sirens roamed Equestria, spreading disharmony among ponies with their singing. They fed off the ponies' negative energies to make their voices and magic more powerful with the intention of conquering Equestria. They were banished by Starswell the Bearded to this world, where he surmised they would do no harm since there'd be no magic here.
I'm going out on a limb and say that plan backfired in a way.
Raph guessed.
Yes, I'm the one who caused it when I brought Twilight's crown to this world.
Sunset said in shame.
Ooh, another story.
Mikey cheered as he got comfortable. So, the Rainbooms had told them the story about the uncensored version of the Battle of the Bands concert that they hadn't told April and Casey. When they were finished, the Turtles, April, Casey, and Splinter looked concerned.
Dude, that was hardcore.
Mikey said in shock.
I know, and somehow the Dazzlings have gained their magic back and will be in cahoots with your enemies.
Twilight spoke.
You don't think that's already happened yet, do you, Sensei?
Leo asked. Splinter spoke.
I cannot be sure, but if these events are true, then I fear the city may be in for trouble around the corner.
Back with the Dazzlings, they were wandering the sewers aimlessly. Arya said in frustration.
For realsies, because it looks different.
Sanada said.
You are so blind.
Arya rolled her eyes.
I'm not. R2, will you both shut up?
Adagio snapped when they were suddenly surrounded by footbots who dropped from the ceiling. Sanada shrieked.
We're going to die!
She clung to Arya, who was trying to shove her off.
Footbots, stand down.
Came a voice. The trio looked as the robots made room for a teenage girl to approach. They saw that she was dressed in armor and black, making her look like a ninja.
They're not who we're looking for.
She told the robots who stood down. She motioned to the trio.
You three shouldn't be down here. You could get lost. Thanks. We'll keep that in mind.
Sanada thanked her.
Footbots, let's go.
The girl said as they were about to leave until Adagio stopped them.
Wait.
The girl turned around.
What is it?
She asked firmly.
The ones you're looking for. They wouldn't happen to be 4 walking, talking turtles.
The lead siren inquired. The girl was taken back.
How do you know that?
Arya answered.
We saw your bots fighting the freaks last night. I see.
The girl crossed her arms.
And some girls we're also looking for were with them too.
Sanada added.
What do you mean?
Adagio spoke.
Before we continue, what is your name? I am called Karai. Well, Karai, my name's Adagio, and these are my friends Arya and Sanada.
Arya gave Karai a dry look, while Sanada smiled and waved innocently.
If you have nothing worth telling me, I'm leaving.
Karai said, about to leave again, but Adagio once again stopped her.
Actually, I believe there's a way we can help one another. Really?
Karai asked skeptically.
Oh, yes. But first, why don't we go topside so we can tell you a little story?
Adagio suggested with a smirk, as Karai's curiosity got her interested.